jerk myself off real quick and we're good
All right, welcome back to the Pulse with Willie and Al. How's it going today, brother?
good, man. Pretty good. It's nice over here. Blue skies. I apologize in advance if I sound like I'm hitting puberty for the first time. I
You are,
am.
yeah.
Yeah, I am. That and a nice little sinus congestion going on here. Yeah, but other than that, we're good, man. We're rocking and rolling. Um, Technically the first day of baseball season today. We got to watch. I had to watch when I got home this morning. A little MLB opening day, technically in Japan. Love
Ooh-ha.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
So what I
which
got to watch was just Otani going 2 for 5.
doing
Dodgers
Otani
win
things.
4-1.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Dodgers win 4-1. So
yeah.
not much to write home about.
It was kind of nice, actually, that you were seeing them play some games against Japan, teams from Japan, and
Yeah,
they're like, I was loving reading the article, like, oh, Otani kind of got the barrel around on one, or just barely tapped it, and then it went out, and I'm like, I'm watching that home run go over, and I'm like, yeah, I wish I could just tap the ball, and then it just goes out of the park, right?
well, the wild part about that home run was that pitch was down and away, and he crushes it.
Yeah.
Like that pitch, he could have taken that for a ball, and he was just like, nah.
Instead, guess what?
Yeah.
Some other interesting stuff. I saw a clip. I don't know if you saw this with Justin Turner, where he saw like some of the fans that were there wearing a beard, like his, a big orange beard, and he
Yeah.
brought him down onto the field, took a picture with them. That was really cool. So
Yeah.
it's good to see that the Major League Baseball, it's got a good transition over to Japan, and it seems like they're well received over there by the
Yeah.
fans. So. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting episode today, because we've got our MLB prediction episode. Before we jump into all that fun jazz, just want to cover some stuff in the NFL, because we got a few things that happened within the last week that we got to break down. One of the big things was Cooper Kupp signing with Seattle, which was a bit of a head scratcher for me. I know we texted back and forth on this, but Cooper Kupp going to Seattle to do Cooper Kupp things, which is kind of what they have JSN for there, was a little
Yeah.
bit confusing to me. But maybe they view JSN as that guy on the outside, which I think he's much better in the slot. But hey, I don't know. Just kind of your thoughts on that, and how you think that's going to help Darnold there.
Well, the thing is, like, you know how last time I talked about the Rams and like why they could have just kept Kupp and they could have kept Devontae Adams and Puka Nakua, and that would have been great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the same thing with Seattle. They could have kept Tyler Lockett. They could have kept DK Metcalf and signed Cooper Kupp and had JSN. And
Yeah.
like, boy, it's a lot of fun things to throw to.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a GM. Because if I was, I would make terrible decisions. But yeah, no, it's Seattle with the most confusing offseason of all time, it seems like to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
the thing with Seattle is like what made Darnold so good last year is he had a really good offensive line.
yeah.
Seattle does not have that.
Yeah, they don't have Minnesota's offensive line, that's for sure.
They sure do not.
And that was confusing. I understand moving on from Lockett, who's been quietly one of the most consistent producers in the last decade at receiver.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that, but his yardage is very high up there. I think in the last 10 years he ranks third in yardage, which is wild to even consider. But very, very interesting. If they're going to move on from him, it seems like why trade away DK Metcalf, who I feel like, and granted he asked to be traded, but at the same time, like they could have told him, hey, listen, we're bringing in Darnold. This is our plan. We're going to sign Kupp as well. I don't know. I just see it as And I'm a big Cooper Cup fan, but I just see it as a big downgrade in Seattle from where they were before.
Yeah.
Doesn't,
Yeah, especially in that division too, which is wide open.
yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
Very interesting. As well, Mekhi Becton, who was on, is now a Super Bowl champion, but he turned out like people thought he was a flop when he was with the Jets. Moves from
Yeah.
tackle to guard, comes in on Philly's line, and is an absolute animal. And played really well, wins a ring, and now he signs with the Chargers to be basically the interior guy between Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, which isn't a bad job at all. So that and this is a team that loves to run the ball with Harbaugh there.
Yeah.
They just signed
And they picked
Najee
up Najee.
Harris. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I just think this has like big things written on it. And this is a team that I really think is going to be better in year two under Harbaugh. They were pretty good
I
last
think,
year, but I think they're going to
yeah.
continue to be better. And they were talking about him possibly joining the 200 club. Do you know what that is? In the
No.
So the 200 club is they have a pair of and Khalil Mack I think was the only one to use them last year, but a pair of 200-pound dumbbells. Um, yeah, 200 per dumbbell. So they think Mekhi Becton's going
Yikes.
to be the next guy to use them there. So very interesting, but that should have big things coming forward for that. That division actually quietly has gotten a lot better with Denver adding pieces to the defense from San Francisco. Kansas City seems to have lost a few guys. They brought back a few, but it seems like they lost a few guys as well that have moved on. But they re-signed Juju Smith-Schuster, which that's
Woo!
yeah, that's laughable
Yeah.
to me. Maybe for TikTok dances this year, but uh
Yeah, Casey, their offensive line has somehow gotten worse, and that was the reason they got blown out in that Super Bowl. So yeah.
mhm.
Even the Raiders got better.
Yeah, the Raiders they
Like
made some moves. Um and I
like
think
that
they
division's
believe
not a
in Gino.
cakewalk anymore.
No,
Yeah, that division's not a cakewalk for Kansas City anymore.
not at all. Especially when you
Yeah.
got like Gino's not a world beater, but he's a guy that doesn't usually turn the ball over and has proven in the last couple of years that he can make fairly good decisions. Not always, but fairly
Yeah.
good decisions. And I think that's gonna be very good. He's back with Pete Carroll there in Vegas, and it's just big things there. But the biggest news, I guess, we have of NFL before we move on to baseball is the Chase Higgins signings, which is just that's massive. It seems like Cincinnati
Oof.
finally dropped the bag um, on both these dudes, and it really, really good for both of them. One's making 40, the other is going to make a little bit over 30, and yeah, we're going to see Higgins and Chase on the field together in Cincinnati for the next 4 years at least. So
That's great. Except they still haven't fixed their defense or their offensive line. So yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
about that. So
Love that for them. I'm glad they got everybody locked up, but boy, that when you're giving that much of your cap to three players, like that's not great.
and they're all on one side of the ball. Um,
Yep.
so we'll see what ends up happening with that, but I'm really hoping that they figure something out with Trey Hendrickson because it's kind of sad what's going on with that right now. I know he requested to be traded. I don't know if that's still going to be the case, if they're actually going to trade him or not, or move him, or what they're going to do. But I know there's a lot of teams out there, about 31 other teams that love pass rushers and guys that can get after the quarterback. So I imagine there's going to be a big market for a guy like him. So, um, anything else you want to mention about football before we circle around here?
I don't know if we I don't know if this happened last week, but Miles Garrett deciding, you know what, money beats championships. And honestly, good on him.
I'm kind of
Good on
disappointed
him.
by that. Uh,
No,
I,
because like I think that if I was I don't know what I would do if somebody offered me $160 million. Like I think that I would take it. Like,
Yeah, I want to see him on a contender, and I wonder what that would look like.
hey
And
man, Cleveland's on the up and up, all right.
yeah,
I can't. I couldn't say that with a straight face.
yeah. One last thing that I wanted to point out, because I know I don't know if you saw this, but it will probably make you giggle. One of the Giants' defensive linemen ended up signing uh, with none other than Philly.
Love to
So,
see it.
so very,
Love to see it.
very similar to how things went with Saquon, right? Very similar. The Giants ended up letting go of one of their defensive linemen, sorry, because they didn't want to pay him, and he ends up with none other than Philly, which I just think is hilarious because it's just another thing. His name's Aziz Ojulari, and
He's probably going to have 15 sacks for him this year. So love that for him.
Joe Shane did not want to pay him. Now, granted, this guy's name is not Saquon Barkley, so I understand that. But
Sure.
pass rushers are like I said, having enough pass rushers and enough good pass rushers matters. And he didn't want to get re-signed there, and so then all of a sudden he ends up with Philly on a 1-year, $4 million deal. And he had 6 sacks last year, so it's not like that's only in 11 games. So half of those games he got a sack in, which is that's impressive. So we will end up seeing what happens moving forward. But
Speaking of the Giants, I don't know if you saw this, but so they're doing another Hard Knocks offseason, but they're doing it with Bill Belichick in North Carolina this year.
oh my
And the reason
goodness,
they're doing it is because rumor has it that in the NFL, everybody watched how bad the Joe Sheen thing went
yeah,
with Hard Knocks, and they were like, "We're not like we don't want to be a part of that." Like
yeah,
that, yeah. And I like personally, I don't blame them. Like,
yeah. That I think they kind of ruined it for everyone else because he looked really foolish after that. Really
sure did,
foolish. This is what I
sure
don't
did.
understand is like, how do you keep a guy like that after he publicly embarrasses your organization? Because like they look really, really bad. Um,
Yeah,
and I'm not sure it's going to get much better next year. This is the thing, like, and it's really sad because they drafted Malik Neighbors, who's a baller. Like that guy can play. He's shown that he can make plays. But if they don't
already
do
wants
well,
out after year one.
well, yeah, dude, imagine they don't play well this year. How long is it going to take before he asks out and you have to trade him away because you just don't have anything to build around? It's really sad. Um, but who knows? I guess we'll see coming forward this year. But
Yeah,
on to better news, right? Let's break down
yeah.
some Major League Baseball. And this is going to be the prediction episode, so we'll ink in what teams we think are going to end up making the playoffs this year, and who we're high on, who we're low on, and everything in between. So
Honestly, like this episode doesn't matter because the Red Sox are going to win the World Series. Put it in marker, and that's the end of the show.
yeah, what
Have a
what
good one,
clip
folks.
was it I just saw about the Red Sox where they had like 3 guys in a row hit home runs or something like that? Was that their farm system or was that actually
Yeah,
okay? They
yeah.
were like, oh yeah, Boston could have it on lock for the next 10 years with these guys, and I'm like,
No,
oh
we'll trade him. We'll trade him. That's
okay,
what we do.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
might as well trade him while you can get the value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sure. You know,
Um. All right, man. You want to start in the AL East? Where you know, surefire bets here. Take it to the bank. Uncle Raj, throw all your money on these. So
yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I guess this division is for the Yankees still. Um, big blow with Garrett Cole being out for the year with Tommy John surgery.
uh-huh.
Looks like Giancarlo Stanton probably going to be done for the year already too with weird elbow shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yankees did Yankees things. They got Paul Goldschmidt. They still have Jazz Chisholm. Uh, acquired Max Fried from your Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
Gave him a ton of money. Cody Bellinger, they got they the Yankees. I feel like did the thing this year where they got a lot of guys that you would have been psyched to get 4 years ago,
Yep.
but now you're like, which is a Red Sox staple. And look, the Red Sox signed Aroldis Chapman 3 years too late, and I get to watch it in spring training, and he is awful. Um,
oh
Guy's
man.
still throwing 102, but like can't find the strike zone. So
Yeah.
yeah, um, yeah, this division really still feels like it's the Yankees. I know they're kind of starting the year plenty injured, but to me, it's I think it's gonna be a tough division though, because you still have Baltimore. Baltimore though lost a ton of talent.
Hmm.
They lost their best pitcher. They lost their best hitter, in Anthony Statlander. Yeah, I think this division's the Yankees to win. I think that like Tampa's kind of low key retooled and have a bunch of guys coming back from injury.
Yeah.
Um, but the thing that scares me is they're not playing. They don't have a home stadium this year,
Yeah,
so
which is really sad. So that and I've seen the jokes coming out about that. It's like the stadium with legs, and didn't they just vote like they're no longer going to move forward with the stadium too?
the new stadium. Yep,
Which is
yep.
that's crushing. So,
Honestly, at this point, like between you and I, like just fucking move the Rays, man. Like move them
yeah.
to a place where people care about them
Yeah.
because they're a good baseball team. They're fun to watch. Just give them an owner that'll spend money and like move them to an place that like where people want them.
Yeah, where do you see as like a possible destination for them?
If it were up to me and in a fever dream, they would move to Montreal and just become the Expos again.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
my fever dream.
Yeah.
That'll never happen, but man, I dream about that probably more than I should.
Yeah.
So,
Man, those Montreal Expos, those were great.
oh
Absolutely great. Um,
yeah,
it pains me to do so, but I think I'm probably going with the Yankees as well. Even
yeah,
with Cole going down, like I think they've got enough there to probably rise above. I'm not going to say it's going to be pretty, but legally, someone has to win the division. So
yeah. Yeah. To be honest with you, like I think a lot of it's gonna weirdly hinge on Max Fried, and like I don't. You've watched that guy enough. That guy doesn't stay healthy all the time. Like
no, he
he's
doesn't. No,
yeah,
he also every
but when
time
he's on, he's on.
yeah, every time I see him, I think he's like 5'6", 130 pounds.
Oh yeah.
But I know he's bigger than that. But I don't know. He just looks very small on television. Um, I don't know. Hopefully he's able to stay healthy and stuff. He had a number of good years for the Braves. And when he was healthy, he was very good. Um, but
I do think this is going to be a division this year that like I think 90 games could win the division this year. Like
yeah,
it's going to be one of those weird divisions where you're like, I don't know, man. So
we're gonna see. Yeah, I think there's gonna be a team lurking right around 500 that's gonna get in. Well, that wins this division, but I don't want to say. And again, I don't know how things are gonna shake out in the rest of the American League, but I am not feeling great about a wild card team coming from this division right now. I just
oh, I don't either. Yeah,
I
no, it doesn't look good.
doesn't make me feel good at all. Uh, in the Central, kind of an interesting division we got there. Now, this was the one last year you said legally a team has to win this division. Do you still feel the same this year about this division?
This is Cleveland's division to kind of to win or lose at this point
Hmm.
because they made some like low key okay additions. They have Shane Bieber coming back after Tommy John. And he should be ready pretty much around to start the season. Uh, to be honest with you, this is this is the year for them if they're going to do it.
Yep.
Like, um, eh, again, the only team that I really see that could kind of contend with them is Kansas City. But the thing that worries me with Kansas City is they had like all of their dudes had career years last year, and that's just really hard to replicate
Yeah.
like, year in year out. At the Royals, they did acquire Jonathan India, which is a big deal for them. But Cleveland, really, I still think the team to beat. I am curious to see with Detroit what they do with how they finished the second half of last year.
Right.
That to me is the team where I'm like, because they got Jack Flaherty back
Yeah, they did.
after trading him to the Dodgers.
Yep.
They picked up Gleyber Torres. They have Alex Cobb. You know, they're gonna be all right.
They got
Like,
a guy that's going to swing at a ball even if it's thrown over to first base. Um,
oh, good old Javi Baez.
I can't even believe that, man. It's some of the clips are so bad. It's oh man. And like you have to believe deep down like he's not that bad. But when you see clips like that, you're like, "Oh my goodness.
I
My
watched Javi
goodness."
Baez play for the Cubs, and he was good.
Yeah.
Like, I always want to ask your dad what he thinks of Javi Baez, but like I know,
You don't want to
like I
upset him.
think that's gonna put him in a mood, and I'm not looking to anger Big Ray in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
I agree with you. I think it is Cleveland's division, but I also think if Detroit's able to build off of what they did last year, they could be a sneaky team come the playoffs. And
yeah.
as you mentioned, like okay, if it's Cleveland's year, or if they're going to do it, this is going to be the year. This might also be the time for another team like possibly Kansas City or Detroit to be able to sneak in there and snag a win off a team that we think is pretty good and be able to dive into the playoffs a little bit further. Um,
I I think you're gonna see both wild card teams come from the Central this year. I do.
yeah.
I really think that's what it's gonna be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It,
I think you're gonna see Cleveland win the division. I think you're gonna see Kansas City and Detroit. I think they're gonna be the other two wild card teams.
mm,
I really do.
yeah, that could be amazing to see. You're not putting money in on the White Sox?
No,
No.
no, they were so big. They started spring training this year. They've been even worse. It's incredible.
No
It's
way.
incredible.
It's I don't know if it's possible to have that type of longevity of being like okay, so the Patriots for years were that good. It's hard to imagine a team being that bad for that many years in a row. Um, I don't know. Hopefully for them and their fans, they're able to get it figured out. Because it's sad. Chicago deserves better than that. They do.
Um, I just want to talk about the White Sox for 2 seconds
Yeah.
because I love futility as much as I live every year, any league that I follow, I'm always like, oh man, is somebody gonna break the all-time record for losses in futility? And my dream came true last year with the White Sox, and it was a real treat to watch. And I think, hear me out, I think they could break their own record this year.
Oh man, that's
And
awful.
that's 2 years in a row. God, this is what dreams are made of for
Oh,
me.
that just gives you the biggest joy boner, doesn't
Oh, it
it?
sure does. Because the only free agent they signed this year in the offseason was a guy named Dominic Leone, who who last year had an ERA of 6.63.
I mean, that's
So
amazing. That's
yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah.
Well, listen, hopefully
So
that doesn't happen. I feel like Minnesota's going to get lost in the fray in this division. They're not obviously going to be worse than Chicago. Well, we don't think, but I don't see them
yeah,
overtaking Kansas City or Detroit. Maybe. We'll see what happens,
yeah.
but what about the West? Which first of all, with the West, this is funny. So, on ESPN, it's not even the Athletics are just listed as the Athletics, nothing
Yep.
else, which is super funny to me. That just is like all right, they can't make up their mind yet. So, what do you think about this division and what's going to happen here?
This feels like this is Texas or Seattle's division to win. Houston, I think, has just taken enough steps back. Like they weirdly kind of fire sailed stuff in the offseason. Um, let's do this in alphabetical order. The Angels, let's just talk about it for a second. No,
No.
no,
Yep.
and no.
Okay.
Okay. Houston, at least there's a world where they could, except they lost so much of their team. They traded Kyle Tucker away, who arguably was one of their best hitters.
Mm-hmm.
Bregman left for the Sox. Like Verlander left. Presley got traded to the Cubs as well. Like Kendall Graveman left for the Diamondbacks. Like you just kind of go down the line. Like
Yeah.
they're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
Like
It
this
does
this is the
not
year where I
feel
think
good.
and like Altuve is going to play the outfield. It looks like, and it's going to be a weird year for them. Seattle
Oh
didn't
man.
really do much, but they at least kind of stayed pat. And I think Texas kind of comes back in. I think they come back after the weird year they had last year
Yeah, it was
because
very weird.
DeGrom's back from injury. He's pitched well in spring training. They re-signed Evaldi. They have Jock Peterson. They traded for Jake Berger, which is just if you love large dudes that can hit home runs, boy,
And it,
Jake Berger is a real goddamn treat.
and his name is Burger. I mean,
Yep,
what's not to love?
yep,
Like that guy was meant to hit home runs.
sure was,
Yeah.
sure was.
It's
Yeah.
a great
So
name.
I think Texas wins this division this year, but I think this is I'm going to say, I think in general, the whole American League, I think this is a down year for them.
Yeah.
Um, and I think there's going to be a lot of parity. I I don't I don't see any wild card teams coming from the AL West. I think that wild card teams either come from the Central and the East,
Yeah.
in some sort of combination. Because like the AL West is, I think Houston's going to be worse than people think this year, and the Angels are the Angels. So God bless. Uh,
I'm gonna take Seattle just because I want to see it. I know it's like not a good pick for that, but I want to see them get it done, and I'd love for Seattle to. I don't know. I saw them falter down the stretch last year, and that felt terrible. Um,
yeah.
I'd like to see them right the ship. I will say a thing too. I think there will be one team that wins 100 games in the American League, and that's it.
Wow. What I if it anybody's gonna do it, I think it could be Cleveland.
I think Cleveland's going to be the team that does it. I don't think any other team is going to win 100 games. And that, like you talked about parity, I think it's going
Yeah.
to be very, very close. You're going to see a lot of teams that are below 500 and a lot of teams right around 500. Um,
Uh, Shout out to Seattle for doing, because you and I are perpetually 10 years old. Um, Seattle did trade for a guy the offseason from the Cubs named Miles Mastroboni. So we love that. We
yeah,
absolutely love that.
amazing,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Um, and I mean, because this is a family show. Uh,
sure,
yeah,
sure.
but we're also 10.
I Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I look, they made that trade like back in December, and I was like, this is hilarious to me. And I hope somebody else like finds this as funny as I do.
yeah.
So yeah.
Oh man.
So
All right, well let's move on to the NL. We could start in the NL East, which might be one of the most interesting divisions in baseball. Where we've got a lot of teams, right? You got the Phillies there, the Mets, which seem to be the only team trying to outspend the Dodgers every year. Um,
yeah.
I mean, trying, but and then you got my Braves, which is really nice as well. But obviously, Nationals and Marlins are there too. But where do you see things shaking out in this division?
I All right. So let's talk about the Mets for a second. Like I like some of the things the Mets did. Clay Holmes has been really good as a starter in spring training. Is actually he's going to be their opening day starter because again, LOL, the Mets already have a bunch of dudes hurt.
Yep.
Um, Also, they gave a guy named Juan Soto a lot of fucking money, like a lot of money.
Yeah,
Uh,
a
they
lot.
re-signed they re-signed Pete Alonso. They kind of just re-signed a lot of their dudes. Um, I think the Mets like this if they played in any other division, I think they would do well. Except they play in the NL East, and I think they're going to finish third in this division. There is I want to talk. You know how last year I talked about the Royals and how like they were kind of a team that you're like I don't know if they're gonna play a lot of teams tough,
Right.
and I think that's the Nationals this year.
Hmm. Okay.
I think like the Nationals are like a year or two away. They've been kind of stacking their farm system because when you've been bad for 6 straight years, that happens.
You get a lot of high
But
picks.
they had like a weirdly okay second half of the year. And they also traded for Nathaniel Lowe from the Rangers, who's a pretty good hitter. He's a first baseman, and I just think this is kind of going to be a team that like I don't. They're not going to make the playoffs, but like if you told me they'd go 500 for the year, I'd believe it.
Hmm. Okay.
I think they're a team that like other teams aren't going to take super serious, and I think that's gonna be an issue.
Okay.
Um,
Is there any hope at all for Florida baseball?
No,
Okay.
no, no. That's I now that we've legally spent our obligated 10 seconds on Florida. That was nice.
Okay.
They just keep getting rid of dudes, so that's good. Um, Really, I think that this is Atlanta's division to win again.
Hmm.
I, because here's the thing: while they might not have signed like many free agents, they did get Whit Merrifield, which is a huge upgrade for them. Who can play infield? He can play outfield. Great pickup for them. Also got Adam Duvall back again. As somebody that got watched him play when he was healthy for the Sox the last couple of years, it's been nice. It was nice.
Yeah.
Um, that being said, a lot rides on Acuna and Strider being healthy again.
Though I don't know if you just saw the start Strider had the other day.
I did. I did. And
Hmm.
I guess Strider's not going to be ready to start the season,
No, he
but should
won't.
be ready to go by the beginning of May.
Which is a very, very good sign. You know they're not going to rush
Yeah.
him back. There's no need to rush him back. Obviously, you want him there, but I'll tell you, having him and Sale at the top of that rotation is going to be very, very difficult for teams. Very difficult. Um, I'm very excited for my Braves. We talked about it last week. Like, there's not many teams that have a Cy Young Award winner and a MVP coming,
Yeah.
back from injury for your team. That's something that's going to be bode very, very well for them.
Yeah. And Acuna's due to be back, it looks like early to mid May. So, like,
Yeah.
again, they're not going to rush either of them back,
Which is
nor should
crazy
they.
ACL injuries with that. It's wild how fast these guys can get back now.
And I think too, like I think with Atlanta, all they have to do the first month of the season is just play 500 baseball.
Yep.
They don't need to do anything crazy. They just need to stay par for the course, and they're going to be fine.
Dude, they played so poorly last year for the majority of the season.
And
If
still got a wild card
Yeah,
spot.
if they can like think about some of these guys like Olsen and stuff, I don't think he hit a home run until August. Right? Like I mean it was bad. The year before he hit over 50. And you just look at it and it's like, man, like they're going to catch fire in this roster. There's a lot of talent top to bottom. There's not many teams in the league that have that type of talent top to bottom on their roster. Um I hope they're able to figure it out, man. I really am. Uh
Yeah, I the Phillies are going to give them the most trouble.
Yeah,
I
they will.
think
They always do, man. They always
because
do.
they're pretty much running back the same team as last year.
Yeah.
That's it.
As long as you
So
have Bryce Harper at the top there, it's going to be really difficult. They're going to make it tough for you every single
yeah,
time. Philly just plays that uh, tough, tough baseball. And it's very
yeah,
difficult to beat them, especially if they start hitting home runs. I mean, Schwarber, yeah, he'll strike out 5 times and then he'll hit a grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. So it's like,
sure will.
yeah, it just, I really I think that's the proverbial getting the monkey off the back for the Braves is going to be beating Philly.
Yeah,
And it doesn't matter if they go 12-4 against them during the season. What's going to matter is them beating them in the playoffs, and that's unfortunately that's not even the toughest test they're going to have this year. Just the one that's
yeah.
beaten them many times. So, but
And
yeah,
I think that
I'm going to pick
I think
Atlanta.
that NL East is going to be kind of a buzzsaw too.
It will be. It definitely will be. The Mets are going to
And,
be tough too. Like you said,
yeah,
Washington. If they're playing tough, it's not as many gimme games uh
no,
as you would hope
no,
for.
and that's kind of been the NL East the last few years. Is it's been such a buzzsaw. By the time they get to October, like nobody from the NL East wins the World Series because they're all tired of playing each other
Yeah,
and they're just exhausted by the time they get to the postseason.
they've given us a lot of good games. Like
Sure have. Yeah,
it's amazing to watch. Even the fact that it came down to the last day last year of the regular season, it was. I know they're the Diamondbacks coach was not happy about that, but
yeah, yeah.
listen, that's
Well,
why you
win
play
games.
162 games, you
Yeah.
know? Um yeah, anyhow. Okay, so moving on into the Central, uh which should be I would say it's probably the least interesting division in the NL.
This is where I tell you that legally somebody has to win this division.
Mhm.
I think it's gonna be the Cubs.
What?
I do.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it's gonna be the Cubs. I think Milwaukee finally has taken enough steps backwards. On they just keep losing dudes every year and somehow win 90 games. This is the year I think they lost too many dudes.
I just want to say
It like
something.
sure,
The Cubs, listen, I'm with you because you're brilliant and I agree with you on a lot of things, but the Cubs now are already starting out of the gate 0-1. They've got 161 games to get it together.
sure.
I don't know. I don't know. It's not off to a good start.
Yeah. I know. I know. And also they're playing in Japan.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
everything's thrown off. Like I think with the Cubs, like they put a nut. I mean, like them trading for Kyle Tucker is a huge like that replaces all of the Cody Bellinger offense and then some.
Yeah.
And I really like this team, and I think they're gonna win the Central this year.
Hmm.
I that being said, everybody's going to tell you that Paul Skeens is going to be the guy this year, and I love that for him. I just and if I'm wrong, so be it. But Paul Skeens screams like a dude in May that's going to get Tommy John surgery.
Ooh.
He just like he throws too hard, and I just like I've seen this too many times now where guys are like, "Whoa, we're coming in and rocking 99 most of the time," and like your shoulder's not going to hold up. Like, and plus, it's going to be an increased workload this year because he's going to play a full season. So,
Yeah, it definitely will be. How so he came in last year, and it's the same thing with a lot of rookies in many sports. There's no tape on the guys; they don't know that much about them. But year two is when you find out, okay, does this guy really have stuff that is gonna fool people? Because you're not gonna be fooling people much more at that point. They've got
yeah,
they understand how to prepare for you, all of that stuff. Is he gonna have the stuff to be able to carry this team? And that's what they need. Is the the Pittsburgh needs him to carry them. Is he going to be able to shoulder that load? We're going to see.
fun team that's going to be coming out of the Central that I don't, they're not going to win the Central. And I don't know if they're necessarily going to contend, but they're going to play hard every day. Cincinnati.
Yes, I'm so glad you said that,
Yeah,
man.
because they got Tito as a manager, and that experience for a young team, I think, is going to be invaluable, and I think that's really going to pay dividends this year.
I'm going to say a thing too. If Otani wasn't in baseball, I'd be watching Cincinnati more.
Ellie De La Cruz, man,
Yeah, yeah,
dude,
dude, he
so
is
good.
too fun to watch. A guy that big should not be that fast, that agile. He should not be able to do all the things that he does. Uh, he's must watch baseball, man. He
Yeah,
really is. He's so much fun to watch. It's I don't know. Like I'm always scrolling through to see if I could find more clips on this guy. He is. I really hope Cincinnati is able to do it is able to play better baseball than they played previously. I really
me
hope so.
too.
Um,
Me too. They like started out kind of decent last year, but like fell off pretty quick. And
yeah.
I really would like to see them like take a step forward. I think that would just make me really happy.
Hmm. Yeah, I have to say I didn't realize Craig Counsell was the manager for the Cubs. He
Yeah,
he was awesome to watch, by the way.
yeah.
But I don't know. This division is it crazy that this could actually be more competitive than we think?
Well, I think this is going to be a division where kind of like the AL East. I think like 90 games is going to win you the division.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't
like you
know.
could tell me a team's going to go 87 and 75 and win the division, and I'd be like, yeah, no, that tracks. Okay, sure.
I personally, I feel like having a good manager can really make a very, very big difference for a team, and I'm a believer in that. So I'm gonna pick the Reds, man. I want to see them get it done. I'd love to see them be able to get it done there.
Okay,
I gotta pick a wild card, man. I have to,
sure.
just because, like you said, someone's legally got to win. I know I'm passing up on the Brewers and everything, but for me, I'd love to see the Reds be able to do it. Uh,
Yeah.
it would be awesome. Anything else you want to say about the Central before moving on to the West?
No, I think it's going to be a kind of a fun division where like there's not going to be a really really good team, but like
Mhm.
there's going to be a lot of teams that are decent, and yeah, I think it'll be fun to watch.
I'd love it if they gave us like a nice September surprise with like three teams, maybe four, kind of in the run going up to the deadline
Oh
for the
yeah,
end of the season. That would be really, really cool. I know four is kind of tough, but having three that are kind of neck and neck to see what's going to happen, that would be lovely to see. Um, yeah. All right, in the West, you're picking the Rockies, right?
sure, yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to say thing minus the Rockies. Um, this division's the Dodgers are going to win this division. I'm not going to like pretend that like another team's going to win this division. I'm just saying the Giants and Padres got better. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Mm,
Padres got Willie. Sorry, Giants got Willie Adames from Milwaukee on a 7-year deal. They got Justin Verlander for a season. Like, I don't know, man.
yeah.
Like, they're not going to win the division, but like, I at least think they're going to be competitive. And then I think San Diego, pretty much the same team as last year,
Yeah.
going to be competitive again. And let's not forget, like, the Dodgers. San Diego had the Dodgers a game away from eliminating them in the first round.
Yeah, this is which is wild because you remember seeing that what was it, Tatis that was celebrating and stuff, dancing on
Yeah,
the side, yeah, and then you're like, oh no, this isn't gonna end well,
yeah,
because
yeah.
there's something to be said for, oh, we've been here before, um, and we know how to be able to get through that. Uh, I all that the Dodgers went through last year, and they were still able to win the World Series. Like all the
Yeah.
injuries, all of that stuff, and they were still able to get it done. It'd be crazy to not pick against them. Yamamoto's got like a 14-foot break on every pitch that he throws, in and out and all over the place. I don't know. The guy's throwing in circles. It's crazy.
Also, there's word on the street is that they might employ a 6-man rotation this year because that's how good they are. They can employ a 6-man rotation.
Yeah, which would give
Also,
plenty of rest.
LOL, the Dodgers actually just decided they were going to take closers from every team in the majors and
Yeah.
just put together a bullpen. So
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah.
How is it? It's crazy to see the rich just get richer, right? It.
Well, you know what's wild with the Dodgers though is like for as rich as they are, they still have one of the best farm systems in the majors too. That's the thing.
Do
That's
you?
the thing.
Yeah. Do you think? I mean, because now they've got Yamamoto, they've got Sasaki, right? Who just came over. Uh,
Yeah.
like who do you see being the best starter on this team out, of all the guys they have? Because if they're running out of 6-man rotation, you're talking about very well rested starting pitching that
Yeah.
could go if you have to pitch every sixth game instead of every fifth game, right? Like that's a big difference in terms of health for these guys.
Also, what we're not leaving out with the Dodgers, Otani's coming back this year as a pitcher. So
Oh yeah, my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah. Just throwing that out there as
It's like,
well.
okay, what Japanese starter are we playing against today? Um,
Yeah. Well, also, they brought back Kershaw,
yeah.
and I think it's going to be his final year. Um,
Which,
he's
how
going to get
funny is
he's going
it?
to give you
What
innings.
is he, the fourth guy in that rotation?
He might be the fifth because they got Blake Snell,
Yeah.
they got Tyler Glass now coming back. Um,
Oh my
Kershaw
goodness.
could Kershaw is the seventh best pitcher in that rotation, and the fact that they have 7 good starters is hilarious to me. Like a
Yeah.
dude like Kershaw is going to come out of the pen potentially.
That could be very good for him.
Yeah, like yeah,
Hmm.
it's silly. I like I said, I think it's the Dodgers who I think they win this division. I think they win it going away, but at least this division is good. Like
Yeah. I have to agree with you. Man, I don't maybe it's just me and okay, so they took Freddie Freeman 2 years back and stuff, and that was really frustrating. But I look at it now, and this isn't a hateable team in my mind. Like
yeah,
I don't hate this team by watching them. Like if they win, I'll be like, all right, I mean, they have a great team, right? The guys that they have on there, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Otani, like do you really hate these guys? Like
yeah,
they're just great baseball players. They really are. So I don't know. For me, I think this is a team that I'm really going to be looking forward to watching this year. The nice thing about the Dodgers playing out in LA is by the time I wake up here, the games are still going on. Uh,
oh yeah, that's cool.
so
Yeah,
that's going to be really nice. I may have to get up early a few days to watch those games, but that's okay. But yeah, I don't know. Even with me being a Braves fan, I think I'm really gonna enjoy watching the Dodgers play baseball this year.
yeah. I say what you want about the Dodgers. I know people hate them because like they spend the most money and they have all the best players, but like I don't know, like spend money. Like you know what I mean? Like to fix this, spend money.
Spend more money. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do it.
like and I think that's good for baseball that there's a team that everybody talks about. It's the Dodgers. Whether you love
Yeah.
them, whether you hate them, doesn't matter.
I
So,
no, we haven't really mentioned it. You kind of did with them playing in Japan, but I think that's awesome. I really do, man.
me too.
Spreading the sport. I know the NFL is trying to do that with playing games in Europe and South America and Central America and stuff. I really think they're moving to Australia next year, maybe or
Oh man, that'd be
yeah, yeah. But as I look at that, I just think it's amazing for them to be able to grow the sport. And Japan's got an excellent baseball culture. These guys are coming to play in America now, which I think is awesome. And I don't know, after traveling there a month ago, 2 months ago, I,
yeah,
they're very appreciative people, and I think it's so cool that Major League Baseball is going over there to play games because their fans deserve it. If we're gonna start taking some of their players in America, we definitely need to pay it back. So, really
yeah.
think it's awesome. But all right, okay, so we've got our picks going now. I I mean, we kind of talked about who we think is gonna be the teams coming out of it and stuff, but
Sure.
if we go back to possibly Cleveland and Cleveland and a Dodgers World Series, is that what
Hon-
we?
Honestly, that's kind of my pick.
Okay,
I'm gonna
all
be
right,
honest, dude. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I'm thinking the same thing. Listen, and that kills me because I want to see my Braves there. It doesn't mean I'm not cheering for them, but I mean, it's a betting man would pick the Dodgers right now. And then I unless something catastrophic happens, mind blowing. Yeah, I think it's going to be the Dodgers winning the World Series again, man. I
yeah.
really do. They limped into it
Um,
last year and won. So,
I will say this about the National League: everything that I've read coming out of spring training, the Phillies feel like a weird team of destiny this year. Like they've just kind of had their hearts broken the last couple of years in the postseason,
mhm.
and I just feel like if any team's going to take out the Dodgers, I think it could be the Phillies.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a world where I just like they've had so many heartbreaks in the postseason the last few years. I'm just saying I think there's a world that could happen.
Maybe they get over the hump and they're able to do it, man.
Yeah,
It's going to take a lot, but yeah, you're right. Even the last few years when they got beat by the Diamondbacks, is that right? Uh,
Diamondbacks in
yeah,
2023,
that was
they
kind of
lost in the World
crushing.
Series in 22.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is crushing to go through that. So hopefully,
yeah.
we will see. Any picks out front for MVP or Cy Young?
Um, I think in the National League, I think it's Otani's to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, the question is like, what awesome shit is he gonna do this year? Is this the year where he's gonna win Cy Young? I don't think he's gonna pitch enough for that to happen.
Right. Okay.
Um, but I think that like it's for MVP, at least for the National League, I think it's Otani's to lose.
Hmm.
The American League, I think it's a little different. I think that you have guys like Aaron Judge, which are gonna like he just keeps putting up these like fucking insane numbers, and you're just like, okay, like especially when he's the only guy in the lineup. You're like, oh, okay, you could just pitch around him, but teams choose not to.
Yep.
Um,
And he makes them pay.
yeah, yeah, I think with I think I'm gonna just give it to Judge again because like that dude, like the thing with the Yankees is they lost that World Series in heartbreaking fashion. And I think there's a world where like they use that as a man, we were so close and it got ripped away from us.
Yeah.
So
They
yeah,
could. Those were my two guys too. I was picking Otani and Judge just because I think there's certain inevitabilities, and I feel like both of them are just inevitable. You have to deal with them. Teams are going to pitch to both of them. They're going to make people pay. They're going to continue to pitch to them. It's going to happen. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, I'm excited for it. This was one question that I had for you. Is there any manager this year that's coming out? that you expect big things from, that maybe they're kind of new on the scene, or maybe it's their first year, second year, anything like that, but you've heard really good things about them, kind of under the radar, and you expect, maybe not that their team's going to make the playoffs, but they should be able to get a lot out of the guys they've got this year.
I don't. This isn't a new manager, and we're gonna, and I recognize what I'm about to say. I'm a little biased here, but I'm really curious with Alex Cora on the Red Sox this year,
Hmm.
on because the farm system that they have coming up, and I want to actually talk about that when we talk about like, for me, if yeah, let's talk about it for a minute. They have Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, like it's a who's who. Oh, and Kristen Campbell as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, those three guys like in the Sox minor league system last year, they tore it up. They absolutely tore it up. Roman Anthony, I think, is going to start. The outfield's a little full right now, and
Hmm.
he's an outfielder, but I think it's going to be one of those like by the end of April, he's going to be in that lineup because there's no way you can't keep putting him in AAA. And
Yeah.
I think he's going to win Rookie of the Year. And I think Alex Cora is best when he's managing young players
Hmm.
because he's a really good manager and he's a really good at like getting the best out of everybody possible. And
Okay.
that's always kind of been his thing since he's been with the Red Sox. Like he's had teams where like the talent levels not hasn't been great, but still gets the most out of them. And they always contend. Last year being the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
He had them contending until September last year
And you were
with a
you were ready
team
to
that was
call it. Yeah.
yeah, with a team that had no business winning as many games as they did.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of expectations on these kids this year. And like I get it. And I'm somebody that's so jazzed to like have a farm system again. And I'm somebody that expects big things from these three kids when they come up. And it's the same thing. Like remember last year with Jackson Holiday, his first call up,
Yeah.
he was awful.
Yeah, he was.
He was awful, and I
Hmm.
felt so bad because everybody thought he was just gonna. It was gonna be easy for him, and I've watched a lot of Roman Anthony last year in Worcester. Man, what a goddamn treat that is.
Yeah.
That kid has, and he's only 20. He's only 20. That's it. He's only 20. It's insane.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it
So
it the interesting thing is, and I hate to relate this to football, but I'm going to. When you look at some of the teams that are young, like for instance last year with Washington, right? Kind of a younger team. They had some veterans on there, but mostly a young team led by a young quarterback. When you see teams like that, sometimes they don't know how big the moment is, and I'm not trying to say that about Daniels, right? But just younger teams in general, they don't know how big the moment is and they just go out and play. Meanwhile, when you've been there before, it's almost as if you know the pressure of the situation, and clam up more because of it. So it is nice to see some of these guys when they're really young just go out there and play and really excel. And I hope that happens for your guys when they bring them up, that they don't go through what Jackson Holiday did, and that they are able to kind of come in and flourish seamlessly rather than sputter as they go. It'd be nice to be able to see that, because that's the whole idea. If you're a baseball fan, you want to be able to see these guys come up, play well, and seamlessly go through it.
and I think the thing that bodes well too, I was listening I listened to this podcast called "Is This a Great Game or What?" And you remember Tim Kurchin, right?
Yes,
Like guy from
of course.
ESPN.
Yeah,
So it's him and his kid that host this podcast, and it's just like Tim Kurchin being Tim Kurchin for like an hour and change once a week, and it's wonderful. And you
yeah, it's
learn
worth
like
it.
all sorts of fun facts. And so when Bregman signed with the Red Sox, he made sure in spring training to put his locker right next to those kids and like bought them all suits and bought like getting them ready to become major leaguers. And I think that kind of stuff is like invaluable.
Yeah.
And it makes me really excited that like there's a veteran that's looking out for these kids. And I love that.
They need
Um,
that. You begin to see that a little bit in some of the movies that they've done on baseball, where it's like the veteran plays that like pivotal. They come from that great point of experience where they can really help a young guy grow by showing him the ropes, and doing it the right way. Such a cool thing. Um,
Also, shout out the Red Sox. They have a show on Netflix called The Clubhouse coming soon. Um,
ooh,
April 8th it comes out, and I can't wait to get to be mad all over again at watching the Sox blow all those games at the end of the year. I cannot wait. It's gonna make me angry all over again.
don't worry, we'll send out a welfare check for you. Make sure you're
Yeah,
doing
it's
all
you
right.
should.
Yeah.
You should. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh yeah.
So
All right, man. Anything else you wanted to cover today?
real quick, I know I've talked a lot about the Red Sox. How are you feeling about Atlanta going into the season?
Good,
Like
man.
you're a Braves fan.
Good. So to be honest, like trying to find out about the injury timelines with Acuna and Strider, that was some of the best news I could have heard from Strider with how he did in his outing. I think he struck out six, faced eight batters, struck out six of them.
Or
So,
did
granted it's spring training, so it's not um not an official game, but for a guy that was very important to Atlanta, being the previous year Cy Young Award winner, and then losing him, it was really sad. So having him back this year, I think is going to be really good for that rotation, really good for the team. I think it's going to give them a confidence boost that maybe they did not have last year. And it's different when you're going into a game trying to, as a batter, and your pitcher is only going to give up 2-3 runs. It makes it's much more attainable to be able to win those games rather than having to worry like, oh man, like today's going to be a long day. If we don't score 5-6 runs, we're not winning this game.
yeah.
So I think he's going to provide a lot of comfort to that lineup, and hopefully those guys can play loose and really just go out and play ball. What really bugged me last year was how some of the fans were turning on Snitker. That really bothered me.
That was so dumb.
Yet
I did not understand
it
that.
just
Like he's one of the best managers in baseball.
it was just kind of
Like just chill.
embarrassing. Yeah, yeah. It's like I don't know. I feel like that happens with other teams, and it's like don't do that, Braves fans, right? Like just I understand you're frustrated, things didn't go, but injuries is something you can't control. They're going to happen. You don't want them to happen, but sometimes they do, and in some cases they take your best players, and it was a tough year for that, but I hope they rebound this year, and I hope they get out of the gate strong, and I hope they're able to maintain that level of confidence through the season. There's going to be some big tests against the Dodgers this year, against the Phillies, against the Mets. Uh, I want to see them play well, man. I really do. So, and
Yep.
when I'm home
Trust
this
me,
summer, I'll be able to watch some baseball games with my dad, which will be kind of nice. So,
trust
uh,
me, as a Sox fan who like watches other Sox fans get mad at Alex Cora, and it's like, hey man, he's like one of the best managers in the majors. Just
dude,
leave him be.
it's the same thing, dude. That used to drive me nuts about New England fans when they'd get upset at Belichick, and it's like, dude, how can you even like? What are you doing? Right? Like,
Yeah.
how?
After the first Super Bowl, he got a lifetime pass from me.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, like also, things I appreciate that will bond us this year is both your favorite baseball team and my favorite baseball team have super crappy bullpens again.
Yeah.
So love that.
I am gonna watch baseball this year with a gasoline can in hand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's I just feel like I need to do my part. If they're gonna do it, I need to add.
I'm excited to go to bed mad most nights because the Sox have blown a 2-run lead in the ninth. I'm real excited for that.
Excited to
I'm
go to bed
so
mad.
excited.
Well, think about this. Imagine how upset Roger's gonna be going to bed.
Good.
Yeah, it's good. Yes. Yes, Uncle Raj. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Send me some soap, Roger. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah. He actually sent me some, so I can't wait. But nice little shout out to him. Hope he's doing well. But we will be back next week? Rocking
Yeah.
some more. We'll give you some more. Hopefully we got some more news in the NFL. First week of baseball season, which will be very exciting to be able to cover. And yeah, we'll bring you guys some more content next week.
I also want to shout out March Madness, which has been one of the 3 greatest experiences of working from home. Is getting to watch every single first round game imaginable while working. It's a treat.
Was
It's a
there
real
a
treat.
D in that or a T? Because I only know March Madness. and the
Yeah,
wrestling is
it could be
going on
both.
this
It could be
week.
both.
Yeah.
That is true.
All
That is
right.
true.
Yeah, good luck to the
Yeah.
guys wrestling this weekend. I know they're it's going to be very exciting. They'll crown some more NCAA champs again. So, all right, man. I think that wraps for this week.
Yeah.
All right, bro. I will catch you next week.
I love you. Peace.
Love you too. Peace.